Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the Bachelor latest news. Grant Ellis found love during Monday's Bachelor finale, but only one woman received a proposal, Juliana Pasquarosa. As a result, it was venture capitalist Licia Gare who left as the season 29 runner-up. Licia, 31, received an "I love you" from Grant, 31, during their fantasy suite date in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, but he says his heart ultimately belonged to Juliana, 28. That was the hardest thing, but ultimately it was the best thing for Licia. The former professional basketball player tells People in this week's issue in a joint interview with Juliana. For me to be in a relationship where somebody may be loving me, but I'm not receiving it the way that I want, or the way that I need, it would be unfair to that person. In the March 24 finale, Licia confessed her feelings for Grant and said she was in love with him. She also told him she saw herself having a family with him one day. But Grant had to break the news that he was going in a different direction, telling her, "I love you very much. I want to give you everything that you deserve, but I'm not your person. And I'm sorry that it got to this point. My emotional connection is stronger someone else." Licia said she was disappointed by the news and snapped back at Grant, "You're different than I thought." Reflecting on the difficult moment, Grant admits it was hard letting Licia down, and the pressure of doing so led to him feeling torn right up to the very end. You meet somebody's family, you spend time with somebody, you hear their story, and then you have to tell them on what's supposed to be the biggest day of their life that they're not your person, he explains. That's what caused me to have a little bit of stress, a little bit of confusion on how to do this. I don't feel like I missiled. I feel like I led with my heart, Grant adds about expressing his feelings for Licia earlier in the season. I feel like it would be misleading if I made promises, but I expressed my feelings, which I do every day. I've been in those shoes, so I know where she's coming from, and I'll always come from a place of compassion. I definitely cared, and I definitely did have those feelings, but ultimately Juliana is my person, he says. Sometimes the hardest things come out with the best reward. Juliana was always aware of Grant's connection with Licia and knew there was a chance she wouldn't be selected. I did feel so strong, but I also was aware that there was another girl involved, she says of the process. She must feel as secure as I do to stay in it this long. It was nervousness from my end, but I also just felt so secure that I was like, it's a 50-50 chance here. Watching the show revealed to the client services associate that Grant and Licia had an undeniable connection, but that it differed from her own. Licia is such an amazing person. I think it just comes down to what type of life you wanted to live afterwards, Juliana explains. I know Licia's time frame for settling down is different than mine was, but it's comparison by circumstance. That doesn't take anything away from me, and I hope that that doesn't take anything away from her. I can understand there being love there for her and love there for me, but I think it's just two different types of love, she adds. Grant promises that he gave this journey everything I could and couldn't be happier with his final decision. This relationship is something that's for me, and ultimately that led to my decision and my clarity, he says about his experience on the show. When you're the Bachelor, and more extensively when you're the second Black Bachelor ever, there are some extenuating circumstances that play a role. I did what made me happy, not what was going to make anybody else happy, not what was going to make my dad happy or my mom happy, or my sister or my aunt, anybody, he adds. I did what was going to make me happy. You just needed some time to get there, Juliana chimes in, as Grant confirms he just needed some time to get there. Grant Ellis and Juliana Pasquarosa are no longer lone wolves. After 8 weeks and many globe-trotting adventures, The Bachelor Season 29 leading man Grant narrowed down his 25 hopeful contestants to just one fiancé. During Monday night's finale, Grant deliberated over the impossible decision of who to pick between his final two: Juliana, a 28-year-old client service associate, and Lytia Gare, a 31-year-old venture capitalist. After getting down to the wire, the day trader finally solidified his choice and proposed to Juliana in the Dominican Republic. The move left Lytia, the clear frontrunner, blindsided, and she confronted Grant about it immediately after their breakup, suggesting he led her on and saying that she'd have a lot of questions if she were Juliana. Then, during the After the Final Rose segment, Lytia shocked fans by saying that the Bachelor assured her that she was his one choice throughout the season, even up until the night before his final decision. In response, Grant apologized, saying that he spoke too soon in a lot of situations and went with his heart in the end. While Bachelor Nation was astounded by Lytia's claims, Juliana said that the finale didn't catch her by surprise. "I think I did so well compartmentalizing our relationship and the fact that this is also a reality TV show," Juliana told Business Insider on Tuesday in a joint interview with Grant. "So I think that it wasn't hard to watch back. Obviously, we had conversations ahead of this that prepared me for all of this. So nothing felt really hard to watch." Pivoting from a somber breakup with Lytia to getting down on one knee in front of Juliana was also a really weird adjustment for Grant, but that comes with the territory of the show. "You just have to focus on the goal, and that's what I did," Grant told BI. "I had to just adjust and put myself in the mindset of, I don't want my fiancé see any type of sadness in me from that." Juliana, for her part, said that although she felt really confident in their connection on the show, stepping out of the SUV and learning her fate was still stressful. "It is the most nerve-wracking moment of the entire season," she said. "I was nervous, and I went into it trying to just remain confident, but also acknowledge the fact that there is a 50% chance that it's not me." Now, with the reality TV show behind them, Grant said he and Juliana are actively searching for apartments in Boston, Juliana's hometown, and gearing up for a trip to Aruba in May. "We have it in the books, and so that's really exciting," Grant said. "It's nice to know we have something coming up." In the meantime, they're working on navigating their now public relationship and learning how to be a couple in the real world. "This is truly the first step of the next chapter, and we're going to just take it head on as it comes and we're going to crush it," Juliana said. Former Bachelor Ben Higgins has some questions about the show's current leading man, Grant Ellis. "Ashley Iaconetti and I feel like we haven't gotten to know Grant at all watching this season," Ben, 35, said on the Thursday, March 20, episode of his and Iaconetti's Almost Famous podcast. Looking to fill some gaps, he asked guest Parisa Shifte, "What do you know about Grant that maybe the audience isn't seeing? Good and bad." The Bachelor contestant's long pause before answering the question sparked concern for Ben. "You should know this. You just got off of a show with him where he was the lead of your season," he stated. "You should be able to be like, hey, this is what I know about Grant." Instead, you had a little hesitancy. Ben questioned whether Parisa, 29, didn't answer immediately because that's coming from you having a hard time answering it where you're like, "I don't really know how to answer that," or you just wanting to phrase it perfectly. Parisa, for her part, said it was the latter. "It seems like he genuinely was looking for, yes, he kept saying a wife, but that was more defined as like a best friend," she explained to Ben. "And he would ask all the girls all about themselves. Like, what do you like to do? Where do you want to travel? Just to find those common similarities, as well as learning more about them and their background and where they come from. Parisa said she thinks Grant's goal was to find someone that he really connected with, had both that emotional connection, physical connection, just his best friend that he can do life with. She added, I feel like a lot of the conversations were always around that of like, where can we be in the future together? How do you see the future with me? How do I see the future with you? So, I feel like that's what he was looking for. Despite knowing Grant's love life goals, Parisa said the two didn't manage to form a deep connection. Do you feel like you got to know him through this process? Ben asked her, to which she replied, oh no. And he didn't really get to know me. On the current 29th season of the ABC dating show, Parisa made an impression on fans and Grant, 31, with her hilarious Night 1 PowerPoint presentation about her and Grant's potential future, as well as her love of rocks and gemstones. The Michigan native made it through the first several rose ceremonies and even scored a group date rose in episode 3. Her Bachelor journey, however, came to an end 1 week later as Grant's connections with other women grew stronger. Post-show, Parisa said she's looking for someone who's down for new experiences and down for adventure. She shared, I just love to be spontaneous, and I love new experiences. Sometimes it's fun to not plan your full day when you're on vacation because you just kind of want to see where life takes you in a new environment. So just someone who's just down for new experiences and who can easily adapt. Having an adventurous spirit is something Parisa told Ben that she and Grant shared. We would have conversations about traveling. We talked about going on a safari, she said on the podcast. That's high on his list right now with travel. And I was like, oh wow, like that's incredible. Because that's not the most fabulous vacation going on. A safari with all these bugs and dangerous animals that could attack you at any second. Grant will face the tough decision of choosing between his final 2 women, Juliana Pasquarosa and Licia Gare, on the show's Monday, March 24 episode. In his February cover story with Us Weekly, Grant revealed there were external factors that played into his proposal hesitancy. You don't want to hurt people. You have a lot of weight in terms of being a lead of a different ethnic group. There's a different level of pressure that comes with being a man of color in this role. And a different expectation, he exclusively shared. It leads to some added thinking that deserves a little extra time. There were some things that really weighed and were hard for me. But ultimately, you go with what makes you happy, and you go with what you feel is gonna be the best decision for your future. While Grant Ellis and Juliana Pasquarosa are still getting to know each other following their engagement on The Bachelor Season 29, all signs point to them beating the Golden Bachelorettes Joan Vassos and Chalk Chapel to the altar. Grant and Juliana's romance blossomed over time, with Juliana becoming a front-runner after sharing a magical evening with Grant in an Edinburgh, Scotland castle. The two bonded over their shared experiences with loneliness, and Grant felt welcomed by Juliana's large family. Unlike runner-up Licia Gare, Juliana didn't put pressure on Grant and was happy to let their love grow organically. Grant and Juliana's journey toward the aisle coincides with that of Joan and Chalk following their engagement on the Golden Bachelorette's inaugural season. Joan and Chalk are in a long-distance relationship, with Joan based in Maryland and Chalk based in Kansas. Their initial excitement about wedding planning seems to have fallen by the wayside as they navigate careers, blending families, and living in different parts of the country. Grant and Juliana may be taking their relationship slow, but their wedding plans already seem to be progressing faster than Joan and Chalk's. Grant and Juliana are basking in the excitement of their engagement, and they're committed to letting their connection grow before tying the knot. However, the big day may not be too far away, considering they're already discussing wedding details and have narrowed down a location. The couple told People they wanted to have a destination wedding in Italy. Grant envisioned, "We're going to live it up. There's going to be wine, there's going to be family, and there's going to be a celebration of life." Even though Grant and Juliana's engagement came months after Joan and Chuck's, their wedding plans appear to be at a more advanced stage. While the Golden Bachelorette couple has spoken at length about their future wedding, they've never seemed to narrow down their options. Joan and Chuck have considered a large and televised wedding or an intimate affair. The fact that Grant and Juliana are in agreement about wedding details suggests they're already further in the planning process than Joan and Chuck. Furthermore, Grant and Juliana want to eventually start a family, which gives them more reason to settle down sooner rather than later. Since Joan and Chuck already have grown children, social circles, and careers, it makes sense that making their relationship official is less of a priority. Grant has already made it clear that distance won't get in the way of his love for Juliana. The former professional basketball player is preparing to move from Houston to Juliana's hometown of Boston. Grant seemed to feel at ease with Juliana's family and supported her desire to stay close to home. His decision to uproot his life for Juliana proves that he's willing to commit and make major changes for the sake of their relationship. While Grant announced his plans to move on The Bachelor Season 29's live finale, Joan and Chuck have yet to choose a home base in the 4 months since their season ended. The couple continues to travel between their Maryland and Kansas homes, making sure to never be apart for more than 2 weeks. Joan and Chuck considered adding a third home in New York City. Their long-distance romance seems to work for them, and it's another sign that they're happy with the status quo. Joan revealed in a recent interview with Bachelor Nation that there's another reason wedding planning has fallen by the wayside. Joan has one son getting married this year and expects another to get engaged soon. Understandably, she's prioritizing her children and stepping back to allow their weddings to take center stage. This is another example of the vast differences between the two couples' love stories. Grant and Juliana have their whole lives ahead of them, while Joan and Chuck are busy integrating each other into the lives they've already built. Despite getting engaged first, Joan and Chuck's lack of solid wedding plans suggests they may be happy living as long-term fiancés. Grant and Juliana agreed to take their engagement slow, but it still seems like theirs may be the next bachelor wedding after all. This gossip is over. If you like the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.